What's up, people? Next hour, Matt Van Epps is going to be here, so start sharpening your texting skills, questions you would like to know. She runs against Afton Bain, who hates America. She's a communist. What does it say in that thing? She's a communist? In that commercial?
I think it was she's blonde and short.
And she's a commie. She hates everything. She wants everybody to go away. She hates everything and everybody, especially Nashville.
I've been heavily involved with the Nashville mayoral race because I hate the city. I hate the bachelorettes. I hate the pedal taverns. I hate country music. I hate all of the things that make Nashville, apparently, an it city to the rest of the country. But I hate it. Yeah, I'm that girl at the airport that all these bachelorettes are giddy walking out in their two-toned colored Pantone pink shirts. And they walk out and they're like, oh my God, Nashville is so bad.
They're so loud.
Woo-woo! Everybody's like, she hates Nashville. She hates America. Well, we're going to have her on, and we're going to put her on the spot, hopefully, and go, do you hate Nashville, or is it just the woo-woo girls coming here with their hats saying, Jenny's getting married? It's about time, Jenny. So there you go. That sums it up right there. So I don't think she hates Nashville the way that some people think that she does. So, but some of you out there, they're like, if that was a Republican, if they were joking around like that, yeah, I mean, come on. And what's interesting, and here's a perfect thing that to me I find, we take politics way too serious. We're ridiculously, just everything is emotional and reactionary. And one of the things I love about Trump, even though he's outrageous at times like today with the whole we should hang these people. By the way, our buddy Mike Lyons, that you guys heard me play here, and we have him on. He's a military guy. Some of his friends are over there, and they've already, before any of this, and we were talking, they've sought counsel before anything's even happened in Venezuela. And the reason is, as Bell and I were talking about before, why is that? Because if stuff goes sideways, you know who never gets in trouble? Lindsey Graham. For pushing it. We should bomb this place. So,
I was just following orders doesn't really work if you remember back to the Nuremberg trials.
Yeah, that's exactly. Just following orders. But here, it's come on. But, should Trump have said that? No, but that's what he does. But then on the other side, I love this. Mondani's going to go meet with Trump.
Thank you, Caroline. Is there anything that Mayor-elect Mamdani could say tomorrow that would ease the president's concerns about his future leadership in New York?
Look, I don't want to speak for the president or get ahead of this meeting that we are currently working on tomorrow. As you saw, the president put out a statement tomorrow that the mayor-elect will be coming to the Oval Office, and so our teams are arranging those details. I won't get into the president's thinking on it. I think you'll all hear from him directly. I also think I will just add, it speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country. I think it's very telling, but I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people, whether they live in blue states or red states or blue cities, in a city that's becoming much more left than I think this president ever anticipated in his many years of living in New York himself.
But you know what Trump does like? He likes the fact that Mondani pushes back on him. He likes the fact that they're perfect foils for one another. And let me tell you something. Trump helped raise Mondani's profile tremendously, like in a major, major way. And we all know that everybody, you guys do realize that 90% of the stuff he wants to get done, hell, 95 now that they're not going to give him free bus passes, nothing's going to get done. He's like, the first day I'm mayor, I'm going to freeze rents. Good luck with that. If you think you have a problem now with the cost of living, see what happens then. Because if you were really able to do that, those people are going to do what with their homes? They're going to sell the hell out of them to other rich people who won't rent them out. Then you'll have real issues. They'll stop developing. Again, real issues. They did this in St. Paul, Minnesota, a few years ago. They put a law in. They were super excited. Like, look at us here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. We've got rent control. It's going to be great. Guess what happened the next day? Building stopped. That was it. And then what happened? Well, then all of a sudden, which way did rents go? Through the roof. And then what? Well, you had not enough supply, way more demand, people not renting stuff out, and nobody was building. So did they repeal the law? No. They just ignore it now and don't enforce it because they knew it failed. But I don't think he's going to do that. But it's good that he's going there. I like the fact that they're going to have a conversation. And I do know for an actual fact, Trump likes the fact that he pushes back on him. And they'll have a pleasant meeting, and Trump will joke with him because that's what he does, just like he does with Bill Maher and everybody else. And they'll laugh, and he'll say, he's a communist, but he's not, like, I don't know the communism. He says he's not a commie. He says he's not going to make everybody Sharia law, but he'll do the things that he does. And, Mondani will come out and go, I don't agree with him, but we had a good meeting, and there's some things we see eye to eye on about affordability and certain things like that, but we have different takes, but he meets with him. And that right there is something that I totally admire about Trump, the fact that he's willing to talk to people at a time, yes, he says outrageous things. Yes, the whole thing with today where he thinks that the Democrats should be hung and stuff is ridiculous and it's absurd, but that's him. In life, you got to take the good with the bad. And Trump provides both. Right now, MAGA has an issue because MAGA is Donald Trump. It is a cult of personality. He is an object that is always in motion, and he built the party in his image, and there's way too many pretenders. There's way too many pretenders. And I look around and everybody's like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be J.D. Vance? Well, I think everybody's jockeying already. That's why you got Ted Cruz doing what he's doing already with his exploratory thing and looking around and already talking about running for president because some people feel there's a little bit of weakness. And I think there is, because you're going into that lame duck situation. All presidents do, no matter how good you are, you go into that lame duck situation. People are trying to jockey themselves, trying to figure out exactly where they fit. And also the unknown. What's it look like without Trump? And I said last night, and I'll say it over and over, you never want to be the guy after the guy. So the star retires, whatever it is, then the next guy comes in. You never want to be that guy. And the battle that's going on right now is, Charlie Kirk, he played a bigger role than I think people realized. And he got those Gen Zs and the older Gen Alphas and the millennials to pay a little bit more attention. Now what are they doing? They're all fragmented. They're listening to Nick Fuentes. I mean, he's got he gets millions of views. But he's talking in between his insane, the Holocaust didn't happen. And he talks about affordability. Not wanting to live at home with your parents, which is a huge deal. So there's a battle going on in this world, and who's going to be able to, because you're not going to replace Trump. You're just not. Whether you hate him or love him, you're not replacing him. And if you're the Democrats, by the way, it's the same for you. You've spent the last decade fighting a guy that you hate with Russia, and chaos and craziness and impeachments and phone calls and all of the things. He's going to steal your soul. He's going to, he's Krampus and he's all of the evil things and he's fascist and he's part Hitler and all of that stuff. And now what are you going to do? Because now you got to actually figure out how you're going to be able to talk to the people because you've been running on, he sucks so bad and he's mean and evil. And that's not a win either. So both parties are going to have to figure out how they remake themselves and who comes to the forefront. I know it's like J.D. Vance. People like J.D. Vance. I'll be honest. I think J.D. Vance is a good guy. I'm not a fan as far as like if I was looking of all the people that may be out there who think that they can run and do something with. No. Marco Rubio? Not Ted Cruz. Like Byron Donalds, I like him. I'd throw my hat in the ring if I was him. Absolutely. And they've got a deep bench. But whoever does get to that point where they're there, you got to do it your way. And the other side of it, too, is what does Congress do? Because the senators, you know, that are running next year, the Congress people that are running, you know, next year as well, all of them, how do they position themselves? Because there's going to be an after Trump. And how do you position yourself? Because so much of what has been your, outside of a few, has been, you know, your entire, this is what my platform is. It's been a lot of what Trump has done. So you're going to have to rethink that. So there's a lot that's going into this next one, but there's also of where do they go from here? And it's, you almost think you have to pivot in such a way where, because otherwise you're going to just, don't be the cheap imitators, right? Don't be the Kerry Lakes of the world, right? Who try to come off tough and it just seems so fake and they're over the top because people see through that. They do. And if you're the, you know, as we were talking to Chris earlier, how do you get the Gen Z and the millennials? Affordability is huge. But right now, they're all fractured. They're pissed because of the Epstein files. They're all pissed because they can't afford anything. And they're angry. They're looking around and they're listening to, you know, they're looking and going, okay, you cozied up with Israel, gave them tons of money. You said you weren't going to go to war. Now you're talking about going to war. And you're getting richer by the day. And everybody else seems to be getting, you know, staying the same while everything's pulling away from them. And then they look over and they see somebody like Nick Fuentes who throws his hat over to the side, the MAGA hat, and picks up the blue hat that says America First. And they're like, yeah, that's what I want. But you can't, you know, and the Republicans have to figure out how you deal with that. That guy's got a ton of young people that are paying attention to him. But he's a white supremacist. I mean, he's mostly a troll. He's anti-Semite. Again, mostly a troll. And you're looking over there going, okay, we want his people, but we don't want his politics. How do you square that circle? Going to be interesting. Coming up, good stuff. Remember, Matt Van App's going to be here at top of the next hour. So we're going to, we'll ask you for some of those questions that you guys would like to know. So he's running against the communist, Afton Bain, communist. She's a commie. She is. Kamala didn't like her, but Kamala doesn't know where she's at. It's a tough day if you're her. Every day's a tough day. Is she at the Cheney thing?
She was indeed.
There she is. I wasn't invited because Dick is exactly that. By the way, I talked to the Iraqis today. They're happy with that he's dead. For those of you guys who don't know, he lied. That's what we're saying there. If you're missing the show, shame on you. Grab the podcast. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997. Da-da-da-da. It's uncomfortably comfortable, that number. I think it's a good way to describe that. Uncomfortably comfortable. So, Matt Van App's going to be on at 2 our time. Somebody said, have you bought in the line about Gen Z and Gen X? Well, Gen X, I'm Gen X. Affordability. You know, he sent me this thing with Stossel. That story's been, by the way, I've done a ton of stuff with Stossel, and 99% of the stuff he does is pretty darn good. But yeah, the affordability, it's not just, by the way, Gen Z and Gen X and you know, because Gen X, I think we're the best because we lived in the before times, which was pre-internet, pre-any of that stuff, and we lived in the after times. But yeah, when it's not super affordable for a lot of people. By the way, but the younger generation is struggling. And they're the first generation right now. We got generations that aren't going to do better than their parents. That's a scary thing right there. I mean, they're not going to do better than their parents, and they came out, they've already got tons of debt. And yeah, so life has gotten more expensive and it sucks. And not all of them, but it's across the board. And they're frustrated with what they see is it not getting any better anytime soon. And that's why they voted for Trump. They wanted a change agent. They wanted somebody that was chaos and going to disrupt. That's why Mamdani. They wanted somebody that was going to disrupt. And I think we're going to see more of that, and until we see the wages start to grow. And that's going to be the big thing, the wages. And when does that happen? I don't know. I mean, a decent jobs report. Here's something for you, Ken. The jobs report. I heard the jobs report, 119. We thought we were going to get 50. And that's for September, by the way. There's no October. And August was revised down to minus 4,000 jobs. My question is, how much do we believe the 119? Because the last person that didn't do it right got fired. So, and what happens, everybody's worried about AI next year. Is AI going to take over? And no, AI, we're still a long way away from retail business and understanding AI the right way. What were you going to say, young Bell?
Ken's back there working on a story.
Oh, fired. Somebody said, I'm confused. Why are we invading Venezuela and not Mexico? If we're talking about drugs. The reason we are invading Venezuela, allegedly, although Trump last night, what did Trump say? Something about the CIA getting ready. He's okay to plan for the CIA to, do some backdoor stuff. And I saw, was it Bustamante and another former CIA agent say, normally the CIA likes to work a little more covert than the president announcing that we're going to do something. Maybe. One of the reasons we're going in there, there's lots of oil. They got tons of rare earth minerals, and that's a big reason. The other reason, South Florida, right? You got a lot of people from South Florida, Cubans, Venezuelans who've been there for decades, who have a lot of influence, and this is really Rubio's baby. So, and that's if we go in. We'll start to worry when you see, as far as boots on the ground, if we see the army show up. That's when you're supposed to go, uh-oh. I don't know when that's going to happen. God willing, it doesn't. And I know they're trying to make it. Colombia now is trying to tell Maduro, dude, you need to go. Because Colombia's fear is two things. One, we're going to get over there, and then we're going to go, oh, maybe we should go to Colombia because they're even bigger with all the cocaine. And the other one is, we don't have a great track record in some of these areas. If it devolves into some sort of civil war, the last thing Colombia wants is that pouring over the border and them fighting there. So it's going to be, this will be interesting if we do something. Now, God willing, Maduro, he offered us, he just wants to stay a couple more years. He wants the cake and eat it plan, which is the Idi Amin plan, which is how much gold can I steal? How much money can I get? And where can I go where there's a safe harbor for me, probably Soviet Union, Russia, or, somewhere like that, China, where I don't have to worry about the Americans coming after me and I can sit around in a lap of luxury knowing that I robbed my country blind. But apparently we're not having it, which is good. The Idi Amin plan is not, go die somewhere else with all the money you could steal, right? Assad and all of these guys. All right, coming up, he got put in jail for this meme, and we talked about it here. Well, he's speaking out now, and guess what? I don't know if you guys are aware of this. He wasn't too happy, and lawyers is what I'm thinking. Lawyers.
Whole month in jail.
Yeah.
For a meme.
A $2 million bond for a meme. Talk about that, among other things, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997. Down. It was crazy. You know, we live in a world of memes, meme-tacular stuff, and sometimes, apparently, memes can go wrong to the point of, I guess, impinging on your constitutional rights.
Did you ever think you would end up in jail? I mean, you're a retired officer.
No, I didn't.
That was the first time we've seen Larry Buschardt since his release, after more than a month behind bars. The reason? A comment under a Charlie Kirk vigil post in a local Perry County, Tennessee Facebook group. The comment referenced a 2024 school shooting at Perry High School in Perry, Iowa, about 700 miles from Perry County, Tennessee.
We can only assume that the sheriff made the decision to arrest Larry because the name of the Iowa high school and the name of his county are similar.
Yeah, I think it was similar. Now, the meme that he memed out there to everybody on Facebook too. They said it was dangerous, right? It threatened. There was nothing on there that says, "I'm coming to the school to get you guys." Nothing on there. It's insane. And yes, he's a progressive and all of the things, and he's not a fan of Trump and whatever. It has nothing to do with this. Again, free speech is for everybody, and whether you're on the right or left, when somebody's free speech is impinged, we all need to jump into action. This, though, was crazy.
Buschardt was arrested on September 21st on a warrant for threatening mass violence at a school.
Threatening mass violence at a school. At a school.
The Perry County Sheriff Nick Weems later said Buschardt's post caused, quote, multiple reasonable citizens to fear of their children's safety at school. And then there was the bond, $2 million.
Honestly, have a hard time figuring out why he was on a $2 million bond. I mean, that is an incredibly high bond amount.
Do you remember? We were talking about this. If it wasn't for the stink, because this thing, you know, we started talking about it, then Reason Magazine started talking about it, then it went everywhere. And he would have been, remember, his hearing was scheduled for like December 12th. He would still be in jail.
What would that have been, like 3 months?
Yeah, something like that, like 2.5, 3 months. And a $2 million, that's my thing, a $2 million bond for a meme that we could put out there. And so it was it the DA or somebody who'd said, "Oh yeah, we need to go after this guy," and then they tell the sheriff. So you know they're like, Barney, you know Andy, right? They tell the sheriff to call the police because it wasn't even in that city, right? So to call the police and send him over to their house, and the guy's like, "Look, they just wanted me to come over here and make sure you're here," and he's like, "I have no idea." He goes, "Look, I'm an a-hole. But, you know, that's not a crime." And the guy's like, "I have no idea why they want me to come over here, make sure you're here." And then they went in, of course, and arrested him because he's so dangerous.
The felony charge has since been dropped, but Buschardt, with the team from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, is now preparing a civil rights lawsuit, arguing his arrest violated his First Amendment rights.
We should be sorting out our differences with words, not with violence, and not by arresting people and throwing them in jail.
Buschardt's legal team is preparing to file that complaint likely in the new year. Attorneys say the sheriff's office claimed multiple complaints came in from parents who took the Facebook meme as a threat. His lawyers requested those records but haven't received any response within the legal deadline.
You know what you should do? You should go arrest people for stupid. That's what you should do. Arrest him for stupid. What do you think? What's a good settlement? Month in jail. He lost his job.
Well, you also want to get some seriously good punitive action in there, too, so the city will not want to try this again. So I'm thinking $5 million.
What would you take? You say 5, but if they say, we're going to give you $1 million, you're like, okay.
No, I'd be like, you need to learn a lesson here. I'm going to have 3 or we're going to court.
I want you to change that school's name to my school, too.
Yeah.
Buschardt High. That was so embarrassing. And then God bless the sheriff. Remember when he sat down, he's like, I guess this is the meme. He's like, does it say he's going to do any of those things? He goes, I don't really, he sat down with the reporter and did the interview. But it was, and he's like, well, we can't let people say certain things. You could tell it had nothing to do with their school. And that's the frustration, people. That's the frustration. And the fact that, like, they asked, hey, where is the people here who say that they were worried their kids were going to get shot up at school? We can't find any of that info, but we had multiple people. I don't think you had multiple people. I think that, too, was a lie. You know, life, we were talking about last hour about Kevin Spacey lost his $5.6 million home in Baltimore because he's having to defend himself. He's now staying in hotels and couch surfing. A guy who was one of the great actors of our generation, right? The great Kaiser Sose. The struggles he's gone through. And you could see, you know, just how fast it can go. This is one I came across the other day, and I'm like, Belle, do you remember this lady? Her name is Susan Powder. And she was a big fitness guru. You couldn't escape her and the Tony guy. Remember the Tony guy that had the like the ski thing, and he was doing the sit-ups, like the 6-minute abs and stuff. You couldn't escape those two in the 90s.
Stop the insanity! It's the stunning downfall of famed 90s fitness icon Susan Powder. Susan was once the larger-than-life personality whipping America into shape.
4 more.
She was known for her bleached blonde buzz cut and, of course, that legendary battle cry.
Stop the insanity! This was me when I was 260 pounds.
She transformed her body and, in the process, became America's #1 fitness queen. Even making a cameo on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Well done, girl.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Back in the day, man, she was so big, and she lost all that weight, and she was so fit, and she was all of the things, and VHS tapes everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere. She was stop the insanity. And guess what's insane? You never know in life.
But in 1995, she shocked her legions of fans and declared bankruptcy. Her multi-million-dollar weight loss empire gone.
And I just walked away. I literally walked away. I did it very intentionally.
Now 67, she lives in Las Vegas, delivering food for Uber Eats.
Hey, this is Susan with Uber Eats. I have never stopped working, not one moment. That's why my children are so proud.
Yeah.
Nothing is beneath me. I will work. I'll do anything.
Uber Eats. So you went from millions of dollars and everything to Uber Eats. I mean, life can humble you. I've been humbled, man. I've been humbled in life. I don't know if you guys have ever been humbled, but I've been some humbling. I've eaten a lot of humble pie. I've also eaten no pie because we didn't have money for pie.
You said you didn't like pie.
I didn't, but it was humble pie, different.
I one time survived on a box of pancake mix.
That is, yeah, I've been there. I've been there.
Thank goodness it only needed water and not milk.
Oh, good. Yeah, because you were getting that.
Or eggs.
We were so poor when I was a kid. They came and they took, how poor
were you?
It was back in the day when they didn't shut your cable off. They came and just took your box away from you.
Yes.
I remember that night. They took our box away from us. And all we had was a little radio, and I ate a popsicle for dinner. I was poor. As an adult, struggled. Man, as an adult, I poured everything into my radio show years ago. I'm like, I can't afford my car. I got to give it back. I rode a bike in Palm Springs in the summer for a while so I could still do my show. Until finally, one of our clients, who was a great guy, said, Chad, here's one of our trucks. So I drove a plumbing truck for a while, even though I wasn't a plumber. Like, it can happen. It can, look at everybody's getting out their poor jokes. It's, you know, and thank you, everybody. Tony Little was the guy that was the gazelle. He had the gazelle. Yeah, but Viacom came by my house and got my cheater box. Everybody had a cheater box.
Yeah.
But, we were poor. And, you know, I've been there. Like you said, like, did you even have syrup?
No.
Oh.
I did have butter.
Yeah, oh, well, at least it wasn't a fully naked pancake. But, I mean, it's like I remember in Palm Springs, like I was broke while I was doing my show, and I would ride my bike over to Del Taco, and I would have like $2 and change, and I kept my Del Taco cup, and I would go get 3 little tacos for 59 cents, and I'd take my Taco cup and I'd fill it up again because they didn't care.
No.
And it was like crazy. It was like, oh, a Costco good, $1.50 hot dog and a drink. I'm living large. But that was a long bike ride. I've been there. So, and she lost it all. But you know what? There's a new documentary out with Jamie Lee Curtis that's produced it, because, this is a woman who is, she's delivering stuff that, you're thinking to yourself, wow, you had everything. And again, sometimes it's, like some people I was talking the other day about Gary Coleman. They talk about a guy who got screwed.
By his own parents.
By his parents. By the way, he was screwed so bad that they made a law called the Gary Coleman Law. So parents couldn't steal from their children in that. And he was screwed because they took all of it. He was the highest paid actor for a while. I think he was making $80,000 an episode on Different Strokes. And he didn't have the recourse. There was no social media where he could have become an influencer. He was just broke. And talk about eating humble pie, being the biggest little star in the world for a while, and then you're a security guard making minimum wage.
Did you see how Dick York died? You remember that he was the first Darren on Bewitched.
That's right. How did he die?
Lung cancer, wasn't it?
It was lung cancer. He died living in a camper trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
because he didn't get royalties.
No. And if you're lucky to get on network television, the money's way bigger. It is, and the royalties, if you're lucky to get them, are huge.
Well, nowadays, if you're on a network television, you get royalties.
Yeah.
And back then, that was very unheard of. I mean, even like the guys in Gilligan's Island didn't get royalties. The guys in the Brady Bunch didn't get royalties.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those people just got ripped off. But then after a while, the union was like, no, we're going to change this.
You know who was the one who Scott Baio? Chachi pushed for, he was the one who really changed a lot of that stuff. And there's a saying in Hollywood, does he have money? Does he have Scott Baio money? Because he pushed so hard for that. But yeah, back in that day, man, like you said, none of those guys got paid. And have you ever seen, by the way, there's a couple guys who are actors, and you recognize them, you don't know their names, and they're on shows, and they will go through and read their royalty check. And they'll go through, they got a whole bunch of, okay, here's one from, I was on NYPD Blue, and it's 32 cents.
Yeah.
Right? And I was on this one, and it's $108.
I was friends with, there's this, a local rock band here that was on Arista Records. And I was friends with the guitarist. His name was Steve Malone. And I had gone over his apartment. And I was waiting for him to finish getting ready. We were going to leave and go out drinking. And there's a check sitting on his coffee table. And I looked at it, and it was for 27 cents. And it was from Finland for the use of their song in a TV show for 27 cents.
Wow.
A guy we grew up with and we played soccer and did stuff with, he was pretty famous in the 90s. He passed away. He was on a show called Roseanne, and he played Becky's husband, our buddy Glenn. And he was like, he said, Roseanne really took care of us with the way they did residuals, because he goes, I don't ever have to do anything again. He goes, and every week I get a $7,000 check. And he goes, but it was set up correctly. He goes, but he had gone through all the, and he'd done really well doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but he also had troubles. I think he owned part of the Viper Room too, so he had some money, but it was those guys, he goes, the guys that came before me, they got nothing. Todd Bridges, all those guys, they got nothing out of that. Dana Plato doing porn. It's like, it's sad.
It's like back in the day, I guess they could not see into the future that all of these shows would be running in syndication.
Yeah. Yeah. And you didn't have to pay it, right? Because it was like owning the show. You guys are just a portion of the show. We own it.
Yeah.
So, and that's, it's sad. It is sad. And you get people that don't have your best interest at heart. And what do? They take your money. They make bad investments for themselves. And then you look up and you've gone from millions to you're working at a pizza place and driving pizza.
Or dying of lung cancer in a camper.
Yeah. It's a humble experience in life. And we've all eaten humble pie. Most of us have. All right, coming up, who knows what we'll talk about. Matt Van Apps is coming up in a little while, 2 o'clock, top of the hour. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. He's running to replace Mark Green up against Afton Bain. We're going to get his take on all kinds of stuff. And any questions you have, get them in now. Text the show. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. What's in a name? Guess what, guys? 2025. That is the year of the Lord that we currently find ourselves in. Adolf Hitler just was reelected. That's right. There's a Namibian politician named Adolf Hitler, and he just won re-election.
Wow.
They used to be a German colony, so they didn't probably have any idea. They thought it was a cool name. I watched an HBO documentary about people it was called, I think, the Hitlers or something. People who had the last name Hitler.
Man.
And there was a guy in Bolivia, and his dad thought it was just a cool name, not recognizing not understanding, really, not a study of history. But there was a family in Iowa, and their last names were Hitler, and they didn't change it. What are you doing? That would have been the first thing I did. I would have, after I came out of my mom, I'm like, we're going down to the courthouse.
Yeah.
But here in Namibia, he won. He says he has no plans for World War III. Good for you, sir.
That's exactly what someone planning World War III would say.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
As long as everybody gets in line.
Yep, there you go. No plans, but just in case. Coming up, hour number 3, we're going to kick it off with Matt Van Apps. Get your text in. What questions would you like to know? He's taking on Afton, right? Tennessee, 7th. We will get his take on stuff. And yes, a lot of you are asking about the weed. Already. It's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.